today we'll be talking about fractions, what most people hate about math. I'm gonna go over some examples of fractions. I'm gonna show you how to get rid of them. I don't like fractions, so I tend to get rid of them as soon as I see them in a problem. So I'm gonna get to that a little bit later, but first, we're gonna talk about how to switch fractions to make them more user-friendly, or in my opinion, make it more user-friendly. You have two fractions. They're in a form that you never really use anymore. I don't know why I'm having to show you this, but I'm gonna show you anyways. So when you subtract these, this one's pretty simple. Because it has the same base fraction here, when you subtract it away, these cancel each other out, and then it's just 4 minus 3. So x equals 1. Alright? It's that simple. I'm going to write that, I'll do that over here. So if I have 3 to the 2/3, alright, to convert it to a form that's more user-friendly, I multiply these two numbers, and then whatever I get from that, I add the top number. So 3 times 3 equals 9, and then I'm going to add 2, so that gives me 11. And then I just put that, I just bring the 3 over. So 11/3. Now if I want to do 4 to the 2/3, I multiply these two, so 4 times 3, which equals 12, and then I add the top number, which gives me 14, and then I just keep my denominator, 14/3. So now if I switch this problem that way, I have 11/3 plus x equals 14/3. Subtract 11/3 from both sides. X equals 3/3, which is equal to 1. So you get the same answer either way, but you need to be good at this conversion. You will not continually use this through the rest of your life. You'll use these types of fractions or decimals, stuff like that. All right, this is our second example. For this one, we're going to use cross multiplication. Now, I never thought I would teach this in my entire life. When I was in high school, this is what I was always told. The product of the means equals the product of the extremes. I don't know why that stuck in my head since I was in high school a long time ago, but it has. So you multiply the 7 and the x to get 7x, and then you multiply the 5 times the 6. So you're literally cross multiplying. And then it's a one-step equation, so x equals 37. That's how easy cross multiplication is. It's not that complicated. So yeah, but you have to have just one on each side, one term on each side. You can't have two terms over here and try to cross multiply. One term on each side of the equal sign to be able to do cross multiplication. Now for my favorite. I don't like fractions. I like getting rid of them as soon as I can. So whenever I do teach fractions, I teach this. I teach just getting rid of them, so you don't have to bother with them anymore. So this is finding the least common denominator and just multiplying everything by it. So your denominator here is your 2, your 3, and of course the 5 actually has a 1 underneath it, but we're not going to worry about that. So you have 2 and 3, and you're trying to find the least common multiple of them. So 2 and 3 are not the same thing. The easiest way that I've found throughout the years is just multiplying together to small numbers. If they're big numbers, you can kind of tell. But 2 and 3, the least common multiple is 6. So what you're going to do now is you multiply each term by 6. So I multiply this by 6, this by 6, and don't forget you have to multiply that by 6. multiply all three by 6, and then you just simplify. So multiply across, so that gives me 6x over 2, and that could simplify down to 3x. I multiply across here, that gives me negative 24 thirds, and that can multiply, reduce down to 8, negative 8 at that. Then equals 5 times 6 is 30. And there you go. That's how you get rid of it. And now it's just a simple two-step equation to solve. And that's it. That's how you get rid of fractions. This is a lot easier to look at than this. So just get rid of them. That's all you have to do is find the least common multiple and multiply it by all three. And then simplify down. Don't forget to multiply by the one on the other side too. Alright, sticking with the least common multiple idea, this thing. Alright, this looks super difficult, but it's not. It goes on the same premise of what I just showed you with least common multiples. So, an x minus 1, x plus 1. We see over here we have x minus 1 and x plus 1. So if you remember what I did with the last one, I just said multiply them together. The 2 times 3, 6. Alright, that's the same thing you're going to do here. You're just going to take each of these and just multiply them together. You don't actually have to multiply them together. You just have to put them together. So your least common multiple here is actually x minus 1 times x plus 1. All I did was just take these, and I'm just going to multiply everything through by it, because that's what this is right here. So when I multiply this, let me erase that, by x minus 1 times x plus 1, this and this cancel out. So then I'm left with 5x plus 1. When I multiply this whole thing by x minus 1 and x plus 1, the x plus 1 cancels out, and I'm left with x minus 1. And then over here, I multiply this whole thing by it, and guess what? The whole thing cancels out, so I'm left with 12. So now I just distribute. So it gives me 5x plus 5, and then plus 6x minus 6. Now I'm not going to finish out this problem. That's just how you get rid of it. You'll combine your like terms and solve from there. And that's about it with fractions. If you need to go back and look at it, go ahead and slow down the video and look at what I did. If you have any other questions, just ask.